Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Sam Madeira here at the Microbiome Labs, and we're going to go over BiomeFX with powered by Jona AI today. So I'll share my screen in a bit, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. Thanks for joining, and here we go. All right. So this is the first iteration of this platform, launched about 2 weeks ago now, April 29th, 2026. And we have a fake patient here, John Doe, with their stool results. I'll start with the intake on the left. So this is John inputted his information, and this is what you will be able to see as well in your account. And we have his height and weight, and then some other demographic information, date of birth. And then at the bottom of the health history are the main symptoms and chief concerns, health concerns listed by John. So we have here some skin issues, irritated skin, uh, possible rash, and occasional diarrhea, occasional constipation, and then bloating and bowel irregularities. So um, some of the terms are listed a little bit different than you may be used to for regulatory reasons. So you're just going to have to translate them into your more clinical vernacular. So nutrition and lifestyle. So we're asking about how much sleep he gets. Looks like 9 to 10 hours. So I've never heard of that. That's pretty awesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, rating is sleep quality, which is poor. So he's probably staying in bed longer to get more sleep. And then 1 to 10, listing stress levels in the last 30 days. So pretty low stress, how much alcohol he drinks, tobacco use, etc. And then in a typical week, we're seeing what foods he lists out. So desserts or sweets, some fermented foods, grains, fruits, etc. So you'll be able to see all this in the intake. And then we're seeing he does have food sensitivities. He does have gluten sensitivity in particular. So you can just move forward through there. And then, we're going to go to the analysis section here. So under the stool analysis, so this is more probably similar to what you're used to seeing from um, if you were using the BiomeFX before. If you haven't used BiomeFX before, this dashboard is from the same test. So we're bringing that data in here, and we have more potential pathogens and parasites that we are testing for. So right away, we can see the summary. There's two potential pathogens. I'll click on that in a minute. Zero potential parasites. And then we have his gut microbiome index score of almost 35 out of 40, which is really good. And then these different indices, which we want all these to be above 7, and they are. So that's very good as well. And then these phylum ratios listed below. So we can click, I'll just start here by clicking into the gut microbiome composition and into these indices. And then if I wanted to read more about, for example, alpha diversity, there are a couple of paragraphs listed here. Same for beta diversity, etc. Before I get into more detail about that, I'll just go over to the ratios. So if you're looking at, okay, well, let's get into more granular information about these ratios. They're listed out here as well. So you can see that both of these phylum are above average, and that's how we're getting this ratio number, as well as these other two ratios. The phylum nomenclature changed recently, right before we launched this, so we have updated that. So that's why it says formerly Bacteroides, informally Firmicutes. And then we have our keystones. You're probably wondering where those were. Pretty important to have our commensal keystone species and categories listed out. So we have our different Bifido species. We can see that his are all below average here for these different Bifidobacterium, longum, etc. And then right below the species is listed the function or the action, so acetate producer, GABA producer, etc. So then you can keep clicking through this and see what's going on with the different aspects here. So this Clostridium senescens is bile acid metabolism, etc. Faecalibacterium perniciae is butyrate producer, and that's below average. So we're seeing a lot of low uh, keystone commensal species as a theme. And obviously that's something we want to improve, and hopefully then he can, have less of his symptoms that he's having, etc. So I won't go through every single keystone species, otherwise we'll be here for the rest of the month. But I just wanted to show you where things are so you know how to navigate the platform. And then we can go back to potential parasites. So as mentioned, detected parasites, no parasites were detected. If you're curious what parasites were tested, you can click undetected parasites and click through these different categories listed here. So let's say maybe this person is concerned that they have blastocystis hominis because that's a common protozoal parasite and maybe their spouse had it. So they wanted to make sure they didn't have it. You can click through there as well. I wanted to go over the potential pathogens that showed up here for John Doe. So we have Bacteroides fragilis as a bacterial overgrowth and both opportunistic species, Klebsiella pneumoniae, detected as well, which can cause, loose stools and other issues, IBS-like symptoms that he's having as a gram-negative species and kick up a lot of LPS, etc. So we also have under these bacteria that showed studied interventions and references. We don't have studied interventions right here yet because the research that is filtered through the platform has to be pretty strict filter through human studies and age group. I believe it's 5+ years old. So keep that in mind. However, if we'll get to the organisms at the end. There are studied interventions for a lot of different keystone species and pathogenic and opportunistic species. So, for example, we could conversely click on Bacteroides and see if there's studied interventions. We have fermented foods. So Bacteroides fragilis, and then the references. So if you want to read the research or skim it, then you just click open and it'll open a new tab. This is fermented soy milk on the intestinal bacteria ecosystem, Journal of Gastroenterology, etc. So we do have an example of showing what that looks like for you here. So, all right. And so now we know there's these two bacterial opportunistic overgrowth pathogens, and those are increasing endotoxemia and whatnot. So moving right along, we'll move down through the functional analysis. So we have seven out of the healthy relative range. So the proteolytic fermentation, hormones and neurotransmitter section, and then the vitamin biosynthesis section, three are out of range there. So we can click on these again and look at them. And we have a summary of what's going on here, of what proteolytic fermentation is. We have a graph here showing almost 100th percentile for the polyamine production, and then listed out and bullet pointed what does that mean. So how we need to improve breakdown of these amino acids and metabolism of them in the gut. And then you can see the other proteolytic fermentation markers, such as ammonia, is out of balance as well. And then you're just going to click see more to understand more about what's going on there in this fermentation of this glutamine in the small intestine, showing this high ammonia production, etc. So good news, we didn't have any hydrogen sulfide production, which is fairly common today with SIBO, IBS-like symptoms. So we can move through the rest of the report. We didn't have any methane production. So let's look at those hormones in our transmitter section. Fairly, in range, but low normal levels of GABA. A lot of people are stressed today, so it's pretty cool to see on a stool test the GABA production in the gut-brain axis there in the gut, and then glutathione elevated. Typically, uh, this is from the gut, by the way, so this is not if you're testing glutathione markers other ways in the body. This is specific to what is generated in the gut. And the way that I look at this is that if it's high, that it's usually because things like ammonia and those proteolytic fermentation markers that are elevated with those opportunistic bacteria are creating oxidative stress. So we're needing more of an antioxidant to counter it. So the body is intelligent and knows what to do. We do not have histamine production. Always good to see that. And then we do see that the estrobolome and beta-glucuronidase is pretty high activity. So that's something to also look into and address. We'll move now on to the vitamin biosynthesis category that showed up on the dashboard. So we have three vitamins here. These are the most evidence-based vitamins that currently in the research that we listed here on the report, vitamin K2, folate, and B12. So the gut makes vitamins, and these are the top three that we chose to keep on the report and put on the report. Um, as you can see, vitamin K2 is low. Obviously, we have a product for K2, so you could Microbiome Labs K2 vitamin D product or other ways of supplementing through food, etc., together to get this number up and giving the body what it needs to make more of these vitamins that are low. Folate is non-existent, so that obviously needs improvement. And then B12 needs a little bit of improvement. I mean, most people today need some B12, so that's also going to need to be addressed. All right, so now we're going to move on to some aspects that really make this platform exciting, um, along with what we've already looked at. We're seeing the platform creating different body systems that we need to pay attention to, whether we would have paid attention to those already or not. So when we see the neurological system, brain health, we're thinking, okay, so what's going on with their mood? Or are they really stressed? Do they have a lot of anxiety listed on their intake forms and here as well? This is showing that, maybe there's some low mood or melancholy, aka depression. So those two are relevant. And then you can see the ones that are less relevant. And this is looking at based on the stool test and the intake form combined to create these metrics. GI health as well. So intestinal sensitivity is very relevant, colonic tissue health, and hepatic metabolic function. This is like the metabolic um, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So, think insulin resistance and fatty liver potential. It's not diagnostic, so we're not saying they have those things, but it's something that we want to, pay attention to and look at clinically otherwise. So, if they had high liver enzymes with this or other things going on, or, maybe if this was my patient, I might order a liver ultrasound to see if there is fatty liver. Leaky gut, that's, pretty obvious based on what we're seeing in the results and the symptoms, but it's lit up here as well as something that's relevant, etc. So bloating and bowel irregularity. And then less relevant would be like, even though he has gluten sensitivity, we're not seeing like a theme of gluten sensitivity with the data that's coming in. So on some results, you'll see these lit up, and here they're unable to assess the food digestion of soluble fiber and lactose. And then furthermore, we're looking at the rest of these other symptoms to pay attention to, like metabolic health, blood sugar, etc., sleep and skin health. A lot of people are concerned about their skin health. So, and of course, we have a product Serene Skin. So maybe based on this, I may do a total gut restoration with Serene Skin and, with diarrhea like Mega IgG 2000, etc. So looking into that more precisely. And then physical performance, so that's to do with sleep and daytime energy, et cetera, energy regulation. And he said his sleep is not that restful. So then we take all this and we have a digital twin in our action plan taken based on the patient's goals that are listed here. And they want, to have better cardiometabolic wellness, blood sugar stability, healthier gut health, essentially, obviously, better mood, less feelings of tension and stress, better sleep. So with the digital twin, we're able to see on this side in the future, we'll click future in a second, with these interventions that are, evidence-based interventions, things like Mediterranean diets, addressing the pathogens and following up on those, resistant starches, vitamin K, et cetera, vitamin B6. We can see these individually through lifestyle and diet. And then in future iterations will be of the platform, we will be adding in more ingredients of supplements and supplements. So stay tuned for those updates in the future. So pretty cool stuff with the digital twin tech. We can see, okay, what would happen if we address things, and we're going to focus in particular on the leaky gut and the gut health and hepatic metabolic function, so that liver and insulin resistance health, how much that is going to improve. So the leaky gut and the hepatic metabolic function with these interventions alone will improve significantly, as well as the other things you can see how they're going to improve too. Brain health, so low mood is also going to jump up and improve quite a bit. And then sleep, cardiometabolic wellness, blood sugar, all are improving as well. So this platform is suggestive, is not prescriptive or diagnostic. So these are all recommendations, as it says. So if there's something here and you're kind of like, yeah, I don't want my patient to start integrating resistant starches yet, maybe we'll do that in 2 months. It's you are in the driver's seat here with your patient, so keep that in mind. And then you can download a personal grocery list and add to it or adjust it in your action plan in your own chart notes. But this is something you can download and give to them, as well as a nice feature here with this platform. So going further into the demo, top organism change. So we're looking specific to the organism and how it's going to change with these interventions. So, we're seeing quite a bit of change here with the bacteroides, and then things like Faecalibacterium and Bacillata organisms, percent relative abundance change based on this plan. So things to consider as well. And if you're, in particular, really wanting to look into the database of organisms, let's say you were kind of like, okay, I was looking in the analysis and I didn't see Akkermansia, or you want to even look at the family of Akkermansiaceae, that is right here. So all you have to do is do a quick search, and then even so, if I wanted to look at the famous Akkermansia muciniphila, I can click here and see exactly what's going on with my patient in that result. And then we have studied interventions and the references as well for Akkermansia listed here. So things to consider. Obviously, they need some improvement with their Akkermansia, as well as the families. So the families are listed here for the different categories. So if there's areas there that you want to look into, you can. Also, just to reiterate, you can go back here and go ahead and click, and then you'll be able to look at those keystone species throughout this section. And that essentially is a report. Just to reiterate on the action plan, you can customize it by removing some of these goals and narrowing down on things if you want, or adding things. So, this is all suggestive and recommendations on how to work with your patient with lifestyle, diet, and different ingredients and nutrients. and things will be added in the future. So stay tuned for those. Are there questions now? Do we have questions coming into the chat, or are there certain areas that people want me to focus in on more that I didn't go over yet or go over again?
It doesn't look like we have many questions coming in through the chat, so we can definitely open up the
Hmm.
conversation now. Feel free to type in if you have any questions about the portal or the analysis or the AI or any aspect of the test. We're happy to go through that with you if there's any questions that anyone has. And Sam, did you go through the organism section where you can see, oh, let's see. Are we still
Yep.
able to schedule one-on-one consults to go over the results? Yes, you can. There are two ways that you can do that. One is when you actually get a report that is sent to you via email. There's an option in that email where you can just click a link and it will put you into the same system or appointee system to schedule with consults as you would normally. Then the other way would be, Sam, do you want to show them how they can access that here? Do you know how to do that, or I can show not through the support
Um,
access, but under the account.
Under the account, I'm not sure how to schedule that exactly. Is it going to be through up
I
in
can
here? Or
um, I can show if you want to stop sharing your screen,
yep, I will do
and,
that.
and
Let's
I
see.
will I will navigate and can show how you can do that.
Uh, Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. I'm gonna minimize you all here.
Yep.
Let me move some things around here so I can see where I am. Okay, so if you're in your account, if you come over here to your account profile and go to support, you just would put in I put the wrong thing. Go to support. And then under the support section, you scroll down and here you have, if your results are ready, you want to book a clinical consult, then just click this connect button. And that will put you also into the appointee scheduling system. So you can get to it either way, either through your actual portal or through the email that comes when your results are ready. So those would be the two ways that you can schedule a consult. But yes, we still are offering all of those to anyone who's ordering a test. Um, will old kits automatically be analyzed under the new system? So any test that has already been reported on and you already have a result, those are not going to go through the new system. However, if you have kits that are outstanding with patients that have not yet been resulted, what we've done is we're calling those our in-flight kits, and essentially those will go through the new system depending on where it is in its kit journey. So yes, anything that was ordered prior to the 29th and has not already been resulted, it will go through the new process and you will have the new report in the new portal. Let's see. Hang on. Let's see, is this new platform only for providers or can patients log in and see this as well? So in terms of ordering, only HCPs can order, but in terms of who can see the platform, your patients will also will see the same thing. So they won't see obviously your client list, like that, all that's going to be just for you. But they will see the interactive portal. So you can go through that with them. You also have control over, when you would like for those reports to be released. Let's see, the issue about clients not able to fill the intake form, they're getting a 404 error code. Yeah, that's actually something we are aware of that and we're actively working on to solve. So that should be, solved for very soon. We're aware of that. So those intakes should be available to be completed soon. But yes. Okay, so yes, same thing about the intake. After so after the pharmacy registers a patient as their patient, do they still need to create their own profile on Microbiome Labs? So you're saying after you've created on the Jona portal, so if you've created an account already on the Jona portal, then that's your account. You don't have to because everything in terms of ordering, tracking your kit status, looking at your patient's reports, all of that is going to be through our new portal system powered by Jona. So you won't be necessarily accessing anything when your patients won't be accessing anything through Microbiome Labs. It will be through the this new BiomeFX portal system. Um, Hopefully that answers your question. And if not, feel free to clarify. Um, let's see. I have a kit to do. Will it take me to this site to input my own health and lifestyle info prior to sending it in? Will there still be a way to print something physical for us to give to patients? Yes. So the way it will work is if you have a kit that you're wanting to send in, when you so once it's ordered and if you have it, you should get an email that prompts you to fill out your intake form. And that's where you will, after it's been delivered, and maybe you already have it. If you already have it in your possession, then that email will come with a prompt to fill out the intake form, and you can put in your own health and lifestyle according to the whatever it is that you'd like to say, because the intake will now integrate with your patient's results and will help to inform and personalize the action plan. So it is a requirement now that the intake form is completed so that it will give the most personalized and accurate action plan and analysis based off of that. So you can put all that information in. Yes, there is still a physical PDF. So there is an ability, and I can actually show you how to access that. Um, let's see. I'll show you how you can do that here. Let me share my screen. So I'll show you how you can access the PDF now. Okay. I'm just going to use this demo account here. So say this is your patient, this report is ready, which means that it's been released to the patient, that they filled out the intake form. And so here in this little down arrow, if you click on that, it will, you can either choose which type of PDF you want, whether you just want the microbiome, just the results, so the analysis, the action plan, the food list, and a summary of your key organisms, or if you want the full appendix of all the organisms, which is obviously going to be a longer report, you can click on that. But then whichever result type you want, then you just click download and it'll generate a PDF for you. And so you can save that to your EMR system. You can send it to your patient. You can print it off if you want to go, if you prefer a physical report to go through, then you can do that here. So that's how you would access the PDF to export it. Um, let's see. Um, let's see. Hang on, I'm trying to find. Okay, so this person's saying that you have a patient dealing with some extreme depression, also showing some Alzheimer's markers, being abnormal. Will the results show anything for neurological issues? Yes, we do have a section for cognition. I think Sam was showing in the different sections that we have, and there is one for it's low mood, but um, you can look at the research that's in there, and you'll see what it's referring to. So in those cases, what the integration of the because the way that this works, just to kind of give some background, the AI system is pulling in human microbiome research. So to date, the system has been informed by over 220,000 research papers, human microbiome research papers on various health concerns and symptoms. And so for each of those different markers that Sam was showing, it will associate that with the literature and look at that person's patterns, their microbiome patterns, and it'll compare that to the body of literature and all the research studies that are in there on the different patterns and how closely is that person's microbiome matching the patterns of what the literature is saying. And then it'll assign like a relevancy score. So you can see if there's like a high relevance, then you know that the microbiome is probably influencing that certain situation a little bit more than maybe other external factors. If it's not really that relevant, then you'll see that the relevancy is much lower. So there's not as much of a crossover between the body of literature and the research and then what that person's microbiome patterns are showing. And so, yes, that there's a brain health section that will look at all the different brain health elements, and so that way you can see if that's how much that's influencing that person's situation. Yes, if a patient gets an email, they do need to go in and just create their own account. So yes, they should be prompted to do that. There should be a link for them to because that's also where they have to click into consent. They have to do the terms and conditions. Your patients will also have the option to consent to research if they want. That's not required, but there is an option for them to consent to research. Um, Nothing, all, and there's a whole, in the consent form, there's a whole section on what that means. And um, so. The file about the box plot, yeah, we're fixing that copy. And so that phrasing will be removed. That was that carried over from the older test, but that you should see that disappear in future tests as well. Who fills out the intake form? The patient should fill out the intake form. You as a provider could if you wanted to with your patient, but you do not have to. That would be on your patient to fill out. And it's a fairly short intake form, but that your patient should filling that out. I am paying for the kit through the portal and drop shipping it. Do they get emails that their test results have been received? Their test results are ready. You have full control over what notifications your patient receives. So I will show you where you can do that in your portal under your account. Um, okay. So if you go over here under your profile, you can see for you, these are notification settings that you can set for, when you want results ready or when the sample has been received at the lab. And then at the practice level, after you put in your practice information, actually, let's see, is it support? Actually, Mary may need to help me out here on where that is, or maybe, oh no, hang on, practice preferences. Here we go. So under practice preferences, under your practice in your account setting, this is where you can also set when you want certain things released for your patient. Do you want to withhold the results until you choose to release them, which you can set that. You can set when a sample is received for the practice, we want that notification. So you can alert either toggle on or toggle off for a patient to be emailed when their results are available. So yes, this is where you would have all of those. You would set all those different settings of when a patient's receiving an email, or if you would prefer to control that communication with them and you let them know, then you can just set the settings for yourself. And then you can have that communication with your patient. So this is where you would set all of that is here in your under your practice section under practice preferences. Let's see. Okay, I think let's see what's happening over here in Q&A. Let's see. My patient, okay. So in the Q&A, my client is missing a lot of strains of good bacteria. Do all the good bacteria strains need to be addressed? So this is a great opportunity for you to go through this with one of our clinical consultants. Just so that they can give more specific recommendations based on the full report and looking at kind of all of this within context. And Sam, feel free to chime in on, how you would address this. Sam is one of our clinical science liaisons, and he does clinical consults for the BiomeFX report. Again, we are more around the paradigm of the whole balance of the microbiome and how are all these players playing a role. I mean, if your client is missing a lot of strains of good bacteria, then that would warrant some interventions to try to encourage those good keystones and those commensals to populate. And so obviously, you can do that through diet, you can do it through lifestyle, you can do it through nutraceuticals. It just depends on your client and what's going on with your client. Also, if that client has certain health conditions that might be affecting their good bacteria or certain environmental inputs that can affect their bacteria that might also need to be addressed beyond just diet, lifestyle, and maybe there's some environmental factors. So I think that that would take a really holistic view, but we don't, it's helping to rebalance the microbiome. It's more than just trying to find the different strains that would, kind of reseed the ones that are missing. We're looking at kind of the whole picture. So Sam, I don't know if you have anything you'd want to, um, you know, uh,
Yeah, I would schedule a consult if you have like specific clinical questions, and we are still doing consults as Alicia mentioned, so take advantage of those still. We're doing a monthly office hours like this. We'll do another one next week. But if you have like more direct specific clinical questions, I think that's a more valuable use of your time. But I mean, a lot of it is going to depend on what your patient's already tried, as Alicia's already mentioned, and what they can tolerate. And so, and everyone, there's like the joke that you get three practitioners in a room and 5 to 10 different treatment plans in this type of medicine. So I think it really depends. So it would be hard to say like, oh, we'll do another TGR kit. Like I don't know if they've done the total gut restoration plan, or I don't know how they tolerated that. So I don't want to just make a blanket statement here. But yeah, so that's what I have to say about that. But yeah, so I mean, I'm doing consults, the rest of the clinical team and the consultants are all doing their consults still. So sign up and we'll see you there.
yeah. One question that just came in about what email address the patient receives the email from. It is from BiomeFX. So whenever they get a notification about, actually did one for myself, so that's why I'm looking over here to see what email address I got it from. But yes, it's from BiomeFX. So if that would be something that you would want to make sure that they are aware of, that it won't come from you and it won't come from Microbiome Labs. It'll show up as BiomeFX. The actual email will be info@biomefx.microbiomelabs.com. So that's what will come through for your patient. Um, let's see, for any retests, would there be a comparison available? So that is one thing we are not currently. There's not longitudinal analysis, but as part of our partnership with Jona, with helping or with being able to leverage some of their technological advances, we're really excited that there will be updates more frequently in terms of the tech, and longitudinal analysis where you can do comparisons is something that is part of the pipeline. I don't know when that will happen, but that's something that we will, try to work toward. Will the vaginal test ever integrate into this portal in the future, or is that data staying on the other site? We will work towards getting it into the portal, so that will come again. So to be coming in the future, but yes, we are actively working on that. Will these tests eventually be specialized to test animals, horses, for example? That's a great question. Not something that we've explored, but I know that veterinary medicine is, just as important as human. It's just not something that we've looked at. So, but that's a great question. Um,
We had
okay.
another question, Alicia, from Amelia. Do we have clarification on why the FB ratio is presented on two different values in the downloadable PDF file, page 4 versus page 25 on the shorter version of the downloadable file?
Let's see. Oh, here it is. We have clarification why is presents two different values. Yes. So that's, are you looking at the sample report or are you looking at one of your reports that's been reported on? Because with the sample report, there is a little bit of discrepancy. It's just again, just a technical glitch. So that is something that you'll see on the sample report. So that maybe if that's what you're looking at.
Oh, she said a patient
Patient
report.
report. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's something that we have flagged and we're looking into and we can get back to you on that. So, is there a sequence for addressing the missing organisms? And then secondly, will the high commensal organisms be annihilated with good probiotics? Again, I think like Sam was saying, and like we were saying earlier, I think the sequence for addressing missing organisms and also kind of what approach you want to take with probiotics recommendations is very personalized and would need to take into account many other factors within the patient's history and their test. I think one of the things that's also nice about the action plan is that you can actually customize it as a clinician on what you want to focus on. So if, let's say, the patient has come in and they've marked as high priority, bloating, skin health issues, low mood, and I don't know, some sleep problems. And if you as a clinician feel that you want to focus really on just maybe two of those things, maybe you and the patient decide that you want to focus first on just the bloating and the skin health issues. You can actually click on those and the action plan will change based on your clinician and your prioritization of how you want this patient to go. So even though there's an AI component to this, and even though there's a digital twin, you as an HCP still have the ability to determine how you want to prioritize and walk your patient along the path of addressing their health concerns. And you can customize that. So there's very much still a role for you as a healthcare practitioner to guide and prioritize how you want your patient to go through their health journey. And so that may also shift maybe some of what you're wanting to do with them. But again, having a clinical consult with one of our clinicians, they can also help you with some guidance and can help along the way. Um, so, um, let's see. I came in a few minutes late, so I might have missed this. For the intake form that the patient fills out, the section which health concerns are most relevant to you, they fill it out, but it looks like we can also edit these. So you can, as part of your action plan of in the digital twin, you can add or you can remove priorities. So it'll pull in what's showing up for them as well as the intake. But if you feel like let me see if I can actually show you. It might be easier for me to just show you what that looks like. Um, okay, let me show you where you can do this. Okay, so I'm here in the action plan. So if you go into the results and your analysis, you just click here on the action plan. And if you click here, customize action plan, then this is where you can actually change. If there's something that you feel like, we don't actually want to work on occasional constipation, we want to focus on diarrhea or whatever that might be. But then if you want to add certain things, this is where you can actually go in and add anything that you might want to work on based on the report. So, and then it'll change the output for you. So you can't really change the intake of what the patient's putting in, but you can change on the action plan side of things. You can go in and you can either take out or add in if you feel like there's something that is more relevant that maybe the patient didn't think about, but as you're having your conversation, you both realize that, oh, maybe this is something that we is important for us to work on, then you can do that all here. So that's under the customized action plan section, which you get through here, and then you just click here. So um, hopefully that helps. Um,
Looks like we have two more questions. This might have been asked already, but why are non-keystone bacteria like Lactobacillus acidophilus listed as a keystone species?
so there are some commensals that are going to be listed in there as well. The keystone species list is much, much larger than what we had previously. And so, we can, so as we're looking at some of those additional probiotics that we're capturing in the commensals and the keystones. Is there a plan to allow practitioners to access the sample report, both interactive and as a PDF copy? So if you have an account, oh, the sample report, yes. Yes, we have a sample report available that you can access. Or so if you're wanting a sample report just to like show to a patient, you most certainly, we can provide that to you. Either, you can ask your rep for that. If you're ordering through Rupa, which I don't know if that's what you're referring to, right now, just limitations for both Rupa and also for FullScript. There are some limitations with being able to access the interactive portal. You would not be able to as an HCP if you order it through one of those platforms. The only way you'd order or be able to access the interactive portal would be if you order it through an MBL site, just because of how the systems are talking to each other. And with the intake, if you're ordering through a platform like Rupa, you can only access the PDF. Um,
Oh, they want to be able to access like a John Doe sample report
oh, yes.
In Jona AI.
Is that oh, okay? Is
And
that what they're saying?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh,
molest,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, like a demo portal. Yes, I don't think um I believe, I don't know, Mary, are we working? Oh, she had to hop off. Yeah, that's something that we've actually we can give you the sample report for sure, so you can access the PDF. If you're looking for, we are working through setting up a demo account that's really just for an HCP view that doesn't have the full admin access. And so that's actually something we're working on this week. So, we can work to get that to you here. So you can show it to some of your patients.
And
Um,
then who would they reach out to get the sample report? Just their direct BiomeFX sales rep, right?
Yeah, and then
Yep.
once we're working on also on an education tab. Once we have that up and running, what that will hold are going to be short videos of each of the markers. It's also going to have one pagers of each of the markers, and in that we'll also have a full interpretation guide, and then we'll put the sample report there too. So that will come, and you'll be able to access it directly through your portal. But for now, we can give it to you. We can send it to you, the sample report.
Yeah. And then Andrew just replied with Microbiome Labs. Andrew's awesome. Text or call Andrew at the email that he and phone number he put in the chat too. So
Yes,
if you
Drew
have
is
some.
one of our
Yep.
BiomeFX reps, and so he can
Yeah.
assist with providing you some of those sample reports.
Let's see.
Um,
There's one more. I noticed a lot of the old recommendations are not showing up in the update. I think they mean like from the recommendations guide. Is this temporary or is the old guide outdated or am I missing something? Where can we access the sample report? So I think they're wondering about that recommendations guide, which we are going to add in
mhm,
to future iterations of the platform. So just stay tuned for that. If you are looking for the old recommendation guide and you don't have that PDF, contact Andrew and he can get it to you. So
mhm. So Kelly's asking, so the AI automatically fills in an action plan based on the results. So it's what's called a digital twin. So just so you all know with this AI, it's a very, very specifically built AI system for reading, interpreting, and analyzing human microbiome research. So it's not the same thing as like a Claude or a Chat GPT or any of your other commercially available AI systems. It's a really custom, it took 2 years to build this custom AI platform. And so what it's doing with the digital twin is it's a biometric twin essentially of the analysis of the report based on scientific literature. So the first part is my patient's raw data and microbiome information, goes in. And then based on the literature and the evidence, you get the taxonomical analysis, you get the functional analysis, and then you get the correlations of the different health concerns that they might be presenting with and the relevance based on the research of how relevant is their pattern associating with the research. Then all of that is simulated through a digital twin, and then there's a digital twin technology that AI system based on interventional research, so vegan diets, Mediterranean diets, um, lifestyle, certain types of exercise, so all of that interventional data runs through to then customize the action plan, which will then change and shift based on what you're setting as the standard. So it's not like an automatic fill as much as it is a digital twin simulation of that person's microbiome and those associations with the body of interventional data that is in like PubMed and out there. So that's what it's doing. But again, you can customize that. So if you don't agree with it, or if you feel like you want to change something based on your patient's priority, you can change that, either adding or subtracting, and things will change based on what you set.
I
I
think
can see that
there's
my patient's result has been received, but their intake has not been completed. Do you send reminder emails? So there are waves of emails going out right now for patients to complete that part. So we're taking care of sending out all of those reminders. There will be a certain cadence for us to send so that they will complete that because you won't see a report until your patient has completed that that intake form. So we're sending reminders, if you want to also send out information, or if you see something's pending and it's a patient that you're seeing pretty soon and you want to reach out to them, that's fine, but you don't have to. We're doing all of that. But we can help to facilitate that process moving forward. So this is all for just historical tests. Anything that was ordered the 29th on, this is a completely automatic process. So you don't have, we're hopefully not going to have to go back and remind patients to do all this. It'll be automated for them to fill out those when they receive the kit. They'll get those reminders and they'll get that prompt. Um, okay.
I think that's all of them.
I think I think that's it. Um,
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much for everyone for joining. Okay, let's see. So if a client returns a completed kit that was ordered prior to 29th, will they get a new email for? Yes, they will. Yes. Everyone who has historical ordered before the 29th, they are getting email reminders to complete the intake. So yes. Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, Sam, for walking us
Yeah.
through the report, and thank you all for joining. This was recorded, and so you will be able to access this recording. We can send that out to all the registrants. So if you missed something, or if you came in late, or if you had to hop off early, you can go back and review this. And as Sam mentioned, we will be doing these office hours again in June. So once you get into it and once you start ordering, if you have other questions that come up, please feel free to join those additional office hours. I don't know. And Sam, I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to wrap up with anything, but I appreciate your time too.
Yeah, thanks everyone for attending. I'll see you in June if you want to join then and share with your healthcare practitioner friends and colleagues. We'll see you then.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone.